The Israeli army has rescued 4 hostages held by Hamas militants in central Gaza. What kind of relief is this for Netanyahu amid growing international and domestic pressure? And do you think that this kind of relief for Netanyahu is perhaps short-lived?
I'm not sure that's any relief at all, short-lived or otherwise, because there were just hours later, there was huge demonstrations in Israel today, demanding the rest of the hostages be released and that actions be taken to them. And those have been going on for quite a long time. But this just shows that I don't think there was any relief. Of course, probably everybody in Israel was grateful, and certainly those family members of all 4 of those people were extremely grateful that they were returned. But then it just kind of highlights that the rest of them want it back. And look, I think that there's some fair criticism to be made here that, you know, Israel has gotten a total of 7 hostages back by military means, but over 100 back by negotiations. And then the reasonable question is, why don't they do more negotiations to get the rest of them back, even if they have to give away a lot of things to the Hamas people? They're not going anywhere, but if that's necessary and useful to get those people back without killing up to 200 people, as was the case today, I think that there's some questions that need to be asked on how Netanyahu conducted that operation.
Absolutely, Colonel Davis. I was just coming to that the 4 Israeli hostages were released. It's quite a juxtaposition at this point of time, because around 90 Palestinians in Gaza were killed for this hostage release. Talk to us about what are the other challenges that remains for Netanyahu at this point of time while Israelis celebrate the rescue of 4 Israeli hostages.
Because there's lots of people that are asking that obvious question, why do you have to kill so many innocent people in Palestine in order to get the hostages back instead of doing the hard negotiations? And again, he's going to, certainly some quarters are going to give him a lot of credit. Now, I've already seen that, for getting any of these hostages back, but the cost is so extraordinarily high. And again, I just want to reiterate, when you kill that many innocent people, and there was apparently many hundreds more that were wounded, and the destruction of their places of living, that creates so much more animosity against Israel, and people want revenge for their innocent people that have been killed. I mean, obviously people want justice for the Israeli people that were killed on October 7th and for these people that were taken hostage, but you've got to understand just the normal human reaction. When other innocent people are killed, they're going to want revenge against the Israelis too. So this is a double-edged sword, and I'm not sure it's a net positive for Israel.
Colonel Davis, to speak of how this is a double-edged sword, what does this rescue mean for ceasefire deal, which has been stalled again and again?
Just makes it worse, because you got to imagine looking at this from the perspective of the hostage holders, and you have to, even if you despise them, you have to look at it from their perspective, because just what are they doing with those other hostages? I think there's more than 100 that are, probably 116, I think, that are still held captive that we know of. This probably puts other hostages' lives at risk, because they're going to be taken probably not very good care of after this, because again, they're people who were holding them, probably many of their colleagues were killed or their other fighters were killed in the process of getting these released. And so it may put more of them at risk too. And I think there's been too little consideration for what the remainder of the hostages are facing while they're waiting to find out what happens next.
Do you think that this rescue operation was done so that Benjamin Netanyahu could perhaps strengthen his political career back in Israel?
I mean, I can't speak to that at all. I have no earthly idea what his priorities are or what his mindset is going into this. If he did do that, I think that it would be a failure, because it's not going to do anything. It's not going to change anything about anybody. People who are against him are going to still be against him. Those who are on his side are going to remain on his side. So I don't think he gains anything from this actually. And because, it's only 4 out of the hundreds back, and it's just not a sustainable situation. You can't just keep killing so many other innocent people to get other innocent people back in a smaller number instead of doing negotiations. And I think, if anything, this may put more pressure on him to engage in negotiations to get those hostages back.